What are your passions? Think about the events that led you to being there now. Were there any pivotal moments that inspired what you're passionate about today? Now that you've thought about it, please raise your hand if you can think of a specific moment or experience that generated that passion. Awesome. For those of you who raised your hand, I hope that this talk inspires you to continue to look for those moments, especially those that create passion for the environment. And for those of you who didn't raise your hand, I hope that this talk inspires you to find those moments. To show you what I mean, I'm going to talk you through a few defining moments I experienced during 4 phases of my life. I can see it now, 6-year-old me in my living room back home in Connecticut, filled with black leather furniture and a perfectly white carpet. I'm sitting on the floor in the glow of the TV, sitting crisscross applesauce with a bowl of popcorn in my lap. I'm utterly mesmerized by the voice of Sir David Attenborough and the beauty unfolding on the screen. For that hour, the world felt enormous. Icy tundras, ancient forests, and deserts that looked like entirely different planets. Attenborough talked about these creatures that could glide, dance, and speak. Ecosystems so incredibly delicate and so vibrant, rich with an array of colors, textures, and patterns. I couldn't believe that this was truly our world. I didn't know it then, but those nights were instilling a message within myself. They weren't just showing me pretty landscapes and cool creatures, they were showing me what balance, fragility, and connection look like in real life. They taught me that the world is infinitely beautiful, and that even more, it's our job to keep it that way. Tonight, I want to share how truly experiencing the world changed me, how it brought me from just being in awe of it to feeling responsible for it. I can still feel that sense of immersion from the documentaries. The way that the air changed in the room when Attenborough brought us from these grasslands to these tundras and then to the coral reefs. These documentaries showed me how alive everything was and how interconnected everything was in this intricate life that we live. My favorite scenes were always the ocean scenes, the sweeping shots of coral reefs, of the bioluminescent algae, and the schools of fish flowing in the wind, moving like a sheet flowing in the wind. Watching those documentaries weren't just entertainment. They were a stepping stone in my environmental journey. And then, a few years later, I got to feel that feeling for real. I got to feel that feeling for real. I was 11 years old in Ocho Rios, Jamaica, about to go scuba diving for my very first time. I remember standing on the edge of the boat, trying not to let the seasickness win, with my heart pounding. The ocean was alive, churning below me. My instructor gave me the thumbs up, and before I could overthink it, I slipped beneath the ocean's surface. Instantly, the chaos of the water turned to silence. All I could hear was my own breath. My body was weightless, and I looked around and all I saw was blue infinity. There were vast coral reefs below me, fish swimming all around me, and sunbeams striking through the water. It was absolutely breathtaking. It was like the documentaries had come alive around me, but it was different this time. It wasn't behind a screen. The awe surrounded me. I was a part of it, breathing in sync with the ocean itself. Later in middle school, that feeling started to evolve. I started to learn about the truth behind those breathtaking scenes. One day in class, my teacher showed us these photos, a picture of the same coral reef, but in different phases of life. The first one, labeled before, showed what I remembered seeing in Jamaica. It was vibrant, it was lively. The second, labeled after, showed no signs of life. There were just white, pale, skeletal remains all around. I stared at this, confused, until my teacher explained that these were the side effects of ocean acidification and continued to describe the devastating effects. At that moment, I realized I had seen this in person. I just wasn't aware of it. I didn't understand what it meant. I'd be swimming around in a world that was already in decline, unaware that the corals I was once close enough to touch were bleaching and that the fish that swarmed me were disappearing. I finally understood and saw for myself what the balanced Attenborough was talking about was tipping. And this was not only happening in the ocean, but it was happening everywhere. It was confusing and painful to realize at the time, but instead of pushing me away, it drew me in. Because once you see the beauty of the natural world, you can't unsee it, and I felt like I couldn't ignore it. In high school, that realization became a turning point. My sense of awe became motivation. I started small, where I could, getting involved, taking all the classes that I could possibly take to learn more about this. And after I gained some more confidence, I created and led my own school-wide Earth Day project that continued on for 3 years during my high school time. The hope for this event was to create an opportunity for others to see the beauty of the natural world and to also find their moment of awe within the environment. It started off simple, but over the years, it grew to being something that brought my community together and made a small impact on a small town in Connecticut. My experience in high school was the first glimpse of what impact could look like. And note that it didn't come from any type of expertise or power, it truly just came from a sense of wonder. So now I find myself here at the University of Vermont, a place bursting with environmental passion. I've studied the ecology, the climate science, the conservation. I've learned that this work is complicated, urgent, and sometimes super heavy. But every time that I feel overwhelmed, I think back to the girl sitting on her living room floor, eyes wide at the sight of a glowing jellyfish. That feeling is still with me. It reminds me every day why I do this. So when I think about what comes next for me, for all of us, I think about the importance of staying in touch with that sense of awe, the kind that makes you pause, the kind that makes you care, the kind that makes you realize that you're a part of something bigger than yourself. It shifts how we see the world and how we see our role within the world. You don't need to be a scientist, a documentary narrator, or an environmental major to make a difference. Everyone's stories will be different, and that's the beauty of it all. The crucial part is you just need to look closely enough at our world to fall a little bit in love with it. That feeling of awe can grow into passion. Passion, a drive that keeps us curious, keeps us hopeful, keeps us innovative, even in the face of uncertainty. Now, I recognize that it can be super hard. It can be hard to be the light in a world full of darkness, when everything just feels way too loud, too chaotic, too fast-paced that you can't keep up with it. And everything feels so far away that it's only in the hands of our world leaders. And yet, that's exactly where passion begins. It belongs to people who just choose to care. As I mentioned earlier, my hope for this talk was to encourage you all to find those moments that inspire your passions and to never stop searching for them. For me, the environmental field has made incredible progress over the past several decades, from landmark laws to technological advancements that promote sustainability. But those issues will continue to emerge, we all know that. And that's what makes environmental work so important. And then that's where action comes in. Action, it will look different for anybody, and it can happen in any field. It's important for your passion to turn into action. Small actions or even big actions will all create ripples, and those ripples will all be seen, and they all do matter. So my hope, my invitation to you all is this. Find your moment of awe. Let it stop you, move you, and change you. Because that moment might just spark your passion and begin your action. Thank you.